truth. Bad atheist arguments. You can't see God. Uh, uh, yeah, that's not even an argument that atheists would use, I don't think. Like, I can't think of any atheist that's ever really used that argument. And the argument would go something like, you can't see God, therefore there is no God. But who's ever made that? Or I mean, like, give me a example of that ever being used, because I don't know. But yeah, you cannot see God, or taste God, or touch God, or smell God. You cannot verify God with your sensory inputs. That's true. Whatever God is or isn't, it appears not to be verifiable by our senses. Also, there is no apparent way to test for God that I'm aware of. There's no scientific instrument that we can use to see or measure God in any way, shape, or form. There's no telescope or microscope that we can point at God with. There's no instrument at all that I'm aware of that allows us to verify whatever God is, or if it is a thing at all. So whatever God is not something that we can verify using any tests or methodology available to us. And so what could we say about God? Not much. In fact, I don't think we could really say anything about God. It is a variable, if you will. You might as well make it a variable because it's, more comprehensive to say it this way. Instead of saying God, say X or G, if you will. This is a variable. What is G? What is X? How do I locate it? How do I find it? What is it? Okay. Now he kind of goes into this with, you can test the wind, or you can see the effects of the wind. Well, you can test the wind. You can explain the wind. You can understand wind. Wind is an emergent property of hot and cold areas in temperature. That's what wind arises from, that phenomenon. So, okay, now we have verified wind and we understand wind, and it is a actual thing. So then, since we can understand it in that way, and we can measure it, and we can test for it, then if you're going to say that wind is analogous to your version of God, then there should be a way for us to test God. But there isn't, apparently. Now, maybe you think there is one, and I'd love to hear what that is, because as far as I know, there isn't one. So check it out, listen to him talk a moment or two, and I'll be back.
Welcome to Bad Arguments by Atheists Part 1. I get into a lot of discussions with non-believers, and sometimes we have great discussions, and many times there are many atheists and agnostics and skeptics who give really bad arguments from which they probably don't research a lot, and so they just throw these things out, but you hear them a lot. So we're going to be going through them in this series, and this first one is that you can't see God, therefore he's not real. I mean, does anybody think that's a good argument? I wonder if they even think it's a good argument, but I've heard a lot of people say, well, you can't see God. Show me God. Where is God? But if they followed that logic to its conclusion rationally, they're going to see that leads to a whole host of contradictions, because there's many things that we can't see that are true. I got into an argument with a girl in college, and she said, show me God. You can't see God. There's no God. Where's God? And I said, well, it's kind of like the wind. You can't see the wind, but you can feel it. You can experience it. It's kind of like God. She's like, really? Go give me a trash bag. And I said, why? She said, because if I hold that open, we're going to see that the wind blows up that trash bag, and you can see that the wind exists. I said, no, you can see the effects of the wind, but you can't see the wind itself, because the wind is invisible to the naked eye. So we can't see the wind, but we can see the effects of the wind, similar to God. And it's like the universe. Most of the things which we discovered in the universe, we couldn't see until we discovered them. Were we going to just assume they didn't exist because we couldn't see them? Even now, there's many things which we can't really see, like dark matter or dark energy or black holes. Black holes you can't see. For most of history, we've always said you can't see a black hole. Why? Because it takes in the light and there's no.
All right, have we had enough of his straw man yet? All right, I think we have. I played it for quite some time, and the reason why is I needed to go to the bathroom, and I figured I'd just play the clip while I did so. And I already listened to everything he had to say, and yeah, he had nothing to offer us. So a black hole, we can measure that, we can test it, and actually, we can see it, sort of. Well, we can see the effects of it at any rate. And they did take a picture of those effects, but we cannot do that with God. So the two are not analogous in any way, shape, or form. But nobody, nowhere, at no point, I think, has ever really seriously made the argument that, well, we can't see God, therefore there is no God. I think that not being able to see God is a detriment to God, but by itself doesn't mean it isn't there. But this isn't, again, this is not even an argument that atheists make. And what's interesting is a few people in this comment section have said this. This person, Mama, a great, wonderful example of straw manning and false equivocation. And he said, sure, just saying it doesn't make it so. But that's all you've done here. You've done nothing but straw man. Equivocation, yeah, I guess to some degree, yeah, there's some equivocation there. He's playing loose and hard and fast with a bunch of words. Actually, he also seems to have the position that everything needs faith and all that, which I don't agree with. He said faith is required if God can be proven. There's no need for faith. That's true. If there was proof of God, then we wouldn't need faith for God. And he says faith is required for most things. But that doesn't mean it's blind. Well, in regards to God, yes, your faith is 100% blind. You don't have any way to verify God at all, and your arguments for God are null and void. So, yeah, you've got nothing but blind faith. But you don't want to admit that to yourself for whatever reason. It's just, God is just an idea. It's not a real thing, and there you go. He said, this one person said, these arguments are old, and then just, they said, so, an intelligent atheist would not go there. There are much better arguments. Knowing this video is an easy win in a bubble. Yeah, I wouldn't even say even I don't know of any atheist that's ever actually made this argument as a serious argument. Maybe as a joke, but, you can't be an actual scientist without faith. It's nonsense. People don't understand the word faith for whatever reason. And this guy certainly doesn't seem to understand anything. Bad atheist arguments, you can't see God. Well, it's not an atheist argument, and it's still true that you can't see God, but that's not why I don't believe in God. It doesn't help God, though. I mean, if I could see God, then I would believe in it. But I can't. But not only can I not see God, there's absolutely no other way to verify God. Now, I know he likes to say the effects of God can be observed. And the effects of God are creation itself, which assumes there's a creator. No, those are the effects of the universe doing what the universe does. I don't see God anywhere. Well, I'm going to point to reality and say that that's the handiwork of God. That's still not proof that God. How do you know God did it? How do you still don't have proof of God? You can say, well, that's the effect of God, but you don't know that God can cause effects because you don't know what God can or can't do because you don't have proof of God in the first place. So all these arguments in the end fail for numerous reasons. And don't convince me or any other skeptic or atheist out there. And honestly, they shouldn't convince the theists, but I guess sometimes they do. And if this guy wants an actual skeptic to talk to, I'll invite him to come and talk to me live, and we can do that. But I doubt that he'll accept that invitation. Until next time, be skeptical and try not to straw man.